You are 5 years old, wandering through the bright lights and bustling crowds of a summer carnival at dusk. The air smells like popcorn and cotton candy. But you feel a rising panic because you've lost sight of your parents. In your mind, this memory is vivid. The neon glow of the Ferris wheel overhead, the sound of your own small voice crying out. Then comes the immense relief of your mother's arms around you when you're found. This scene is etched in your memory as if it happened yesterday. But years later, you casually mention this childhood scare to your mother, and she looks at you, confused. "That never happened," she says softly. She insists you were never lost at that carnival. You stand there, speechless, as the solid memory in your head cracks and begins to crumble. You feel a jolt of confusion and even a touch of panic. How can a memory so vivid be wrong? If that moment never happened, what about all the other moments you carry with you? It's as if a piece of your childhood just disintegrated, leaving you suddenly unsure what to trust. We think of memory as a faithful record of our lives, like a video camera in our mind. But the unsettling truth is that memory is more like a storyteller, creative, selective, and often unreliable. Our memories are reconstructions, not recordings. And yes, we can be utterly convinced of experiences that never actually happened. For decades, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus has been uncovering just how fragile and malleable memory really is. In study after study, she's shown that even our most vivid recollections can be distorted or completely fabricated. She and other researchers have planted false memories in people's minds, and those people would swear those events were real. How is this possible? Our minds are not tape recorders. They are living storytellers, constantly revising. Memory is malleable by design. It updates with new information and fills in gaps to make sense of events. A simple suggestion, especially if it comes from someone you trust, can sprout into a full-fledged memory. Your imagination and emotions can further reshape what you recall, coloring in details, or even conjuring up scenes that never happened. Even your ego quietly tweaks memories, smoothing over mistakes or adding a flattering gloss to protect you. Each time you remember something, you might unknowingly alter it a little, like editing a story and believing the revised edition. Over time, truth and illusion blur. Imagine this in action. You're 14 years old, and your older brother tells you a story from when you were little, the day you got lost in a shopping mall at age 5. He says you wandered off, and for a terrifying half hour, no one could find you. He describes how you were eventually rescued by an elderly stranger, how you were crying and clutching a toy. At first, you have no memory of this supposed ordeal. It's news to you. But you trust your brother, and the story plants a seed of unease, a tiny question. Did that happen? Over the next few days, you find yourself thinking about this mall story. You concentrate, trying to remember. And something starts to take shape in your mind. An image of a busy mall corridor, the feeling of your small hand slipping out of your parents' grasp, the surge of panic in your chest. You think you recall the face of that kindly old stranger, a beard, glasses, a plaid shirt. Bit by bit, a memory seems to emerge, as if you'd simply forgotten it, and now it's coming back. By the end of the week, you could swear it happened. You can see yourself as that lost little kid. Feel the tears on your cheeks. Remember the relief of being found. The memory has weight and detail now. And then you learn it was all a setup. There never was such a day. Your brother was in on an experiment, guided by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, to plant a false memory in your mind. And it worked. You unknowingly created a vivid memory of something that never happened. That little mall experiment was just the beginning. Loftus and her colleagues have conjured all sorts of false memories in people's minds. For example, she once convinced adults they had met Bugs Bunny at Disneyland, an impossible event, since Bugs isn't a Disney character. After seeing a fake Disneyland ad with Bugs, some participants later described hugging the big rabbit, posing for a photo, even hearing him lisp, "What's up, Doc?" They could truly picture that day at the park, even though it never happened. A memory conjured out of thin air. And it doesn't stop at cartoon rabbits. In another experiment, researchers even convinced people to recall committing crimes that never occurred. Through a series of suggestive interviews, ordinary individuals came to remember teenage misdeeds, like theft or assault, complete with details of how it happened and what they felt. They weren't lying. They truly believed those memories. All it took was a bit of imagination and social pressure for the brain to construct a false past. False memories aren't just lab tricks. They play out in real life with serious stakes. Consider eyewitness testimony. It's essentially memory on trial, and it isn't always reliable. In courtrooms, a confident witness might point to a defendant and declare, "I remember them. That's who did it." Juries tend to trust a memory delivered with such certainty. Yet countless innocent people have been imprisoned because a witness's memory was wrong. Stress, fear, and suggestive questioning can distort what someone thinks they saw, even though the witness is often completely confident. Imagine you're the victim of a crime, absolutely certain you remember the face of your attacker. You take the stand and point to a man in the courtroom, convinced he's the one. Your confident testimony helps convict him. But years later, DNA evidence proves someone else was the real culprit. You were sure beyond a doubt, and you were wrong. An innocent man went to prison because of your memory. Now imagine the guilt and confusion that would wash over you when you learned the truth. Your memory felt like truth, but it was a lie. Memory can even betray us in therapy. In the 1990s, many people recovered childhood abuse memories during psychotherapy and accused their loved ones. Later, many of those memories turned out to be false. The fallout was devastating. Families were torn apart, and those individuals had to face that their minds had tricked them in the most heartbreaking way. Discovering that your memory lied to you is deeply unsettling. It's like a crack forming in your sense of reality. You might feel confusion, disbelief, even denial. How can something you remember so clearly be untrue? You feel almost betrayed by your own mind. Suddenly, you're not sure what parts of your past are solid. If that false memory was meaningful or defining, it leaves a void. Perhaps it was a happy memory that gave you comfort or pride. And now it's gone, revealed as an illusion. Or it was a painful memory that shaped your worldview. And learning it never happened makes you question why you carry those scars. In either case, it's as if a piece of the story you tell about yourself has been deleted. You're left not only doubting that memory, but also a part of your own identity. We rely on our memories to know who we are. They form the narrative of our life. So when a significant memory is exposed as fiction, it's as if the ground beneath your identity shifts. You start to wonder, if that memory was wrong, what else in your life story might be misremembered? It's a profound kind of identity shock. There's a quiet horror in this realization. If one memory, something you felt in your bones, can turn out false, what about all your other memories? You begin to question the reliability of your own mind. A subtle doubt creeps in, whispering that even your happiest or most formative moments might be partly fiction. It's an existential dread, the unnerving idea that the narrator in your head isn't fully trustworthy. Yet along with the fear comes an opportunity for humility. When you've seen your own mind fabricate a story, You learn to be a bit less certain of yourself. You become more cautious about the memories you trust completely. Maybe you start double-checking recollections or listening more openly when someone else's memory contradicts yours. It's a hard lesson, but it can make you more humble and understanding of yourself and of others. You learn to live with a more skeptical eye toward your own mind. Maybe you start writing down important events or keeping photos, creating an external record to complement your fallible memory. You become comfortable saying, "I think it happened like this, but I could be wrong." Instead of insisting on your version of the past, you consider that someone else's memory might be right, or that the truth might lie somewhere in between. This gentle doubt doesn't weaken your grip on reality. It strengthens it. It keeps you honest about what you really know and what you only think you know. In a sense, each of us lives with an unreliable narrator in our head. Memory is that narrator, telling us the story of our life, but quietly editing and embellishing as it goes. We tend to assume this inner storyteller is truthful, yet sometimes it's spinning fiction. So we have to become both the protagonist of our story and its fact-checker. We listen to our memories, yes, but with the awareness that they are part truth and part tale. It's a humbling realization. We like to think we're the ultimate authority on our own lives. Who could know our past better than we do? Yet, here is proof that even with total sincerity, we could be wrong about our own stories. This kind of humility is disconcerting, but it also strips away a certain arrogance. It reminds us that we are fallible, even in the memories we cherish most. So, does this mean you should distrust everything you remember? Not at all. Most of your memories still correspond to real events in some way. Memory is fallible, but not pure fantasy. It's usually grounded in reality with bits of distortion around the edges. The key is not to abandon your memories, but to hold them a little more lightly. Value them and learn from them, but be willing to question them when necessary. This mindset has practical benefits. It means that when a memory pushes you toward a big decision, say you're accusing someone of a past wrong, you pause and double-check. You gather evidence or ask others who were there. You look for corroboration. You recognize that intense feelings or confidence alone don't guarantee truth. By doing this, you might prevent a false memory from leading you down a harmful path. Knowing all this can also make you more compassionate when memories clash. If a friend remembers a shared event differently, you're less likely to snap, "You're wrong," and more willing to compare notes. You understand they're not lying. They genuinely see it that way, just as you see it your way. And if someone accuses you based on a memory you believe is false, you respond with a bit more patience, knowing they could sincerely be mistaken. This understanding can diffuse conflict. It turns "you're wrong" into "our memories differ. Let's figure this out." On a deeper level, this forces us to accept a bit of mystery. The past isn't as fixed as we think. It lives in our minds as something fluid and ever-changing. We have to make peace with uncertainty about what really happened. That might sound frightening, but it can also be freeing. A reminder that even our self-knowledge has soft edges. We walk through life not with a perfect map of where we've been, but with a story that we hope is mostly true, knowing some parts of it are blurred. Perhaps the most unsettling part is realizing your mind can be both your closest ally and a deceitful storyteller. It gives you identity, continuity, a sense of self. Yet it can spin fiction into the very fabric of that self. You can't just stop trusting your own mind. You have to live with it, quirks and all. It's like making a truce with a trickster. You stay vigilant, but you also accept that you'll never have absolute certainty. That's part of the price of being human. Still, there's a surprising freedom in this knowledge. If memory isn't perfect, you can let go of some ghosts that haunt you. That embarrassing moment that keeps you up at night. Maybe it didn't happen exactly the way you recall. The grudge you hold from years ago. Maybe it wasn't as intentional as you remember. Realizing this softens our pain and anger. The past becomes a bit less concrete, which can open the door to forgiveness of others and of ourselves. So what do you do with this knowledge? Do you start questioning every memory, doubting every scene your mind replays? Do you grow cynical about your own perceptions? Or do you accept this frailty of memory as part of being human and move forward with a bit more caution and humility? Perhaps real wisdom lies in a balance between trust and doubt. Not blind faith in every memory and not absolute cynicism either. Just a mindful awareness that your reality and everyone else's is partly shaped by a creative mind. We can neither abandon our stories nor fully believe them. We must carry both confidence and skepticism. Memory is a delicate thing. The line between reality and imagination is thinner than we ever knew. What we remember feels solid, yet it can be as fragile as a dream. In a way, we are all sleepwalkers, trusting in shadows that can vanish when the light hits. Our mind cares more about meaning than accuracy. And sometimes that means it trades truth for a good story. It keeps us awake. It raises an unnerving question. Who are you, if not the sum of your memories? If some of those memories never happened, then who are you really? Are you still the person who lived the real events, or also the person shaped by the imagined ones? Perhaps we are both, shaped by what happened and by what we believe happened. Our identities are built on truth and illusion intertwined. There's a paradox here. We need our memories. They're the threads that weave our identity and our bonds. And yet those threads are frayed and knotted with errors. We have no choice but to rely on this unreliable narrator in order to live, to cling to our story even knowing it's flawed. It's an uneasy balance. Trusting in order to live, but questioning in order to truly understand. We will still cherish our memories, even knowing what we know. Those moments, real or not, still made us laugh and cry. Knowing they aren't perfect doesn't strip them of meaning, it just adds a layer of poignancy. We cherish them with the knowledge that they're fragile. Our past is not a flawless chronicle, but a beloved storybook with worn pages and smudged notes in the margins. And remember, every person you meet carries their own mix of fact and fiction in their memories. Realizing this can foster empathy. We're all just trying to navigate life with imperfect recollections. So as we move forward, we do so with a little more understanding, aware of how fragile our shared reality really is. In the end, maybe our life story's written in pencil, not ink. Our memories sketch it in tentative lines, always subject to revision. And that's all right. Pencil lines can be reshaped, mistakes erased, and the story can evolve with us. We stop insisting that our past is set in stone. We make peace with the smudges and rewrites, knowing the story is still being written. Ultimately, we each live with an unreliable narrator inside us, our memory. It tells our life story with confidence, yet we know now it sometimes lies. That doesn't mean we stop listening to it. It means we listen with a healthy skepticism. True wisdom might be to never stop asking questions of our own mind, because in the end, we must even question the stories we tell ourselves.